Let's pick up on this story now, and it is one that we're trying to update you on the situation in the Western Cape. Police deploying as taxi operators start a 2-day strike. 3 buses have been torched, and there have been reports of unrest in the area of Khayelitsha. The South African National Taxi Council, or SANTACO for short, has distanced itself from the violence. Thousands of commuters, in the meantime, are left stranded. Natalie Malgas is in Epping and joins us for an update. Natalie, good morning to you. So 3 buses going up in flames, but taxi drivers say it's not us. So who is it?
Well, that is the million-dollar question at the moment, Kholi. We did hear from SANTACO initially saying they don't want any of their taxi drivers or anyone affiliated to the taxi industry to engage in any violent or disruptive activity. They were calling for a stay away, but what we saw in the early hours of this morning was pure pandemonium and a lot of violence, with some passengers of the bus industry having to flee for their lives. As you mentioned, buses going up in flames. My City buses were affected, as were Golden Arrow buses. We're hearing now that the police have had to escort some of the buses along the major freeways here in Cape Town just to make sure that commuters remain safe during the morning peak. I am now joined by Bronwyn Dyke-Beyer of Golden Arrow Bus Services to elaborate for us what her morning has looked like. Bronwyn, it's been a busy day at the office and it's not even noon yet. What happened this morning? How many of your buses have been impacted, and what contingency measures do you have in place?
I must say it's been a very difficult day for Golden Arrow and its passengers. Obviously, we had been planning for this. We had meetings all day on Friday with the authorities, and we thought that we were ready to go this morning. But unfortunately, just before 6 o'clock, one of our buses was set alight in Khayelitsha, causing us to have to reroute some of our buses. We are now being escorted in the area as a safety precaution. In terms of contingencies, we have been operating at full capacity. Where necessary, we will put diversions in place. We've been running our buses after the peak to try and clear everybody. A lot of passengers, a lot of people trying to get to work. Obviously, our matriculants trying to get to school today, a very difficult day for them. In terms of the peak, we're hoping to run a full service again, and we'll carry on running our buses until we've cleared everybody this evening.
Where have most of these incidents been concentrated to? Is it all across the metro or predominantly in the Khayelitsha area?
Predominantly in Khayelitsha this morning. There were also a few incidents in Delft, but these have been isolated.
And you're at full capacity, as you mentioned, or have you pooled resources in these neighbourhoods?
No, we're operating at full capacity. Where there's a need for us to continue to operate after our normal scheduled services, we will put those buses in. And like I said, we won't leave anybody stranded. We'll keep running.
In terms of the safety measures, do you have LEAP officers also doing the commute? Are they in your buses, or are they just patrolling alongside the buses and escorting on the freeways?
We do have LEAP and SAPs assisting, obviously all over the kind of problematic areas, and we are in Khayelitsha. Every bus is being escorted, so hopefully that's going to be good enough for this evening.
Just to pick your brain about the afternoon peak, what is that expected to look like? Will you be running your full fleet, or will you have to kind of assess as you go?
It'll be every bus on the road. That's 1,100 buses. They'll be on the road, getting out there, making sure that everybody gets home. A lot of people are going to be very tired from long travels this morning and just want to get home to their families. So we're going to try and make sure that happens as quickly as possible.
And of course, as safely as possible. Thank you so much, Bronwyn Dyke-Beyer of Golden Arrow. Kholi, as we heard from her, the buses are now being escorted by SAPs and the city's Metro LEAP officers. They will be patrolling all the bus routes. Many of these incidents have taken place in the Khayelitsha area, but a full fleet of the Golden Arrow buses will run, and that's expected to be the same situation during the afternoon peak. And we're also anticipating as much mayhem during the peak hours tomorrow, as SANTACO has indicated it intends to have this stay away for at least 2 days this week.
Natalie Malgas in the area of Epping, but we're going to stay with this story, and there you see on the other side of your screen Nasiphi, and she's in the area of Khayelitsha. Nasiphi, good morning to you. There are reports of unrest where you are. What are you seeing?
Well, this morning one woke up not only to the 2-day stay away by SANTACO, but also a chaos. Civil unrest. We're hearing from the city of Cape Town. We're hearing of buses that were hijacked. and law enforcement officials having to intercept those buses, a number of buses in the Khayelitsha community being torched, and Santaco, on the other hand, distancing itself from the action that we saw this morning, saying that they indicated earlier on, or rather last week, that it will be a peaceful stay away, and also communicated with its members that they will not target any public transport as they embark on their stay away, and they are hoping that government comes to the table and extends that Blue Dot pilot program. However, the MEC of Mobility in the Western Cape saying that his hands are tied and that financially the province is unable to do it, and they are looking at their national counterpart, which is the Transport Ministry or the department, to take over from what they have already started in the Western Cape.
Yeah, Nasiphi, let's try and perhaps bring the viewers who may not have heard about this particular strike by taxi drivers in the Western Cape, and it's all got to do with this Blue Dot program. What is it about, and why are they so angry about it?
Well, the Blue Dot taxi pilot program started last year, was launched last year, and it was to professionalize the industry, and it is a way of also to incentivize drivers by, commuters rating the driver's behavior, including driving, on an app, rating the driver with 5 stars depending on how they were treated, and also to try and mitigate the violence that we've seen over the years over illegal operations on various routes. So the MEC of Mobility, including the taxi industry, have both applauded this particular pilot program, saying that it did achieve exactly what it intended to. However, Santaco, on the other hand, is saying that if it was indeed a successful pilot project, why are you not continuing? But as I mentioned earlier on, the MEC of Mobility saying that they can no longer afford it, and come the end of November, that pilot project will cease. And they have looked at other means to fund this particular program by going to business sector and even writing to national, the MEC earlier on, or rather indicating that the ministry has indicated that they have received the letter that was written to them. However, at this present moment, there is no update, and the decision that he took earlier on was that, earlier on this month, was that the program will cease come the end of November. Up until such a time, national government comes to the table and says that they will continue with the program.
All right, those are my two colleagues, Natalie Malgas and Nasiphi. Perhaps, Natalie, let's quickly end it with you. I thought I heard correctly when the spokesperson of Golden Arrow saying to you that over 1,000 of their buses will be out and about doing what they usually do, which is to take commuters home who will be tired from their daily duties wherever they work. But is it possible for all those 1,000 plus buses to be escorted?
It's going to take a real strain on the part of law enforcement here in the city of Cape Town. But leading up to this strike, all the law enforcement agencies, including the city's metro offices and the South African Police Service here in the Western Cape, have deployed additional resources to make that exact function possible, Kholi. As you heard, Golden Arrow says they're going to have a full fleet running this afternoon, and they anticipate tomorrow to be the same story. Unfortunately, for at least the next 12 hours, they are going to need those additional deployments. They have LEAP officers in the actual buses, and they'll be escorted by police officers. So it's going to take a real strain on the part of law enforcement agencies, but it does seem as though with the additional resources, that may be possible.
Natalie Malgas and Nasiphi, thank you very much for that update.